Good morning, everybody. I want to thank Katrina, Kevin Marshall and Orla for their very, very kind invitation to join you here this morning for what I expect will be a scintillating and exciting day. This year we celebrate the 25th birthday of the World Wide Web, and all of us here, perhaps with the exception of Ben, Owen and Tig, who are our students joining us today, we all remember a time before the internet, and I suppose we often remark with childlike wonder about the incredible transformation in our global connectivity, in our relationships with one another, but most of all, the transformation in how we learn. Last year, some of my colleagues in government began to call quite loudly for increased regulation of social media, and I felt obliged at the time to offer an alternative opinion. I wrote in the journal.ie about the inevitability of the advance of social media, and that politicians, rather than trying to regulate social media, should simply try perhaps to engage with it. I remarked that from the dawn of humanity as a species, we've always sought to communicate with one another through whatever means is available to us. We always have, and we always will. From hunter-gatherer conversations around campfires to speaking with Armstrong on the moon, from Gutenberg to Zuckerberg, we have constantly innovated. We have constantly sought out new ways of satisfying that simple, basic human need of talking and communicating with one another. Sir Tim Berners-Lee, who now heads up the World Wide Web Consortium, which was established to develop the standards of the web, he maintains that his very earliest and most quintessentially simple vision of what the web was all about was simply to share knowledge freely across the globe. And on his own Twitter site, he states, "Let the web serve humanity." His major concern now is that the freedom of speech on the web is slowly being eroded, and has called for a global Bill of Rights to protect users. And certainly from an educational perspective, the web must be protected. In that journal piece, I also observed that much of the fear around social media arises from a transfer of the communicative power from the few, which has occurred in the past, to the many. What the web and social media has allowed to happen is simply the democratization of dissemination. Anybody with a phone, anybody with a social media account can now publish their own individual thoughts to the world in a matter of seconds. That power to communicate with many is no longer the preserve of the few, and whether our online ramblings, and we all ramble a bit online at times, are deserving of a Pulitzer or not, the fact is we all have that inalienable right to express our opinion. And in that context, I was reading Steve Wheeler's blog last night, and in a similar vein, he made the following observation. Knowledge is also being democratized and is being shared more freely than ever before, and we should jealously protect this. One of the major shifts in this paradigm is that everyone and anyone can now create and share content on a global stage to a worldwide audience. If that were taken away, the world would simply be a poorer place. Another major shift is that those who once held the monopoly on knowledge are now seeing their control slipping from their grasp, as people everywhere take up the challenge to create knowledge in as many forms as the imagination allows. And anyone who believes in democracy must view the web as a means to achieve this at a global level. The web gives us all a voice. It gives us all the opportunity to be teachers and to be students, no matter where we are in this world. And here in Ireland, we are embracing the power of the web, the power of technology to transform education. And I am so enthused in my 3 years as minister by the talent, by the commitment, but most of all by the ambition of a group of trailblazing teachers who right now are doing incredibly special things in classrooms across this country using technology. And many of those innovators in education are with us here this morning. And just in the last 3 weeks, I've encountered four different examples of that innovation happening. We have the Digital Schools of Distinction, supported by Microsoft and HP, where we are affirming and celebrating best practice in schools across this country in the use of technology in education. We have gone from a time just 5 months ago where we only had 150 schools registered with the Digital Schools of Distinction to where we now have almost 800. We've gone from a time when this idea was the seed of an idea was developed in collaboration with Microsoft, HP and the Department of Education to where it's now being rolled out potentially across every primary school in the UK. The Digital Schools of Distinction concept, born here in Ireland, there is no reason why it can't become the global standard for the use of technology in schools. I met with a wonderful team involved in Mission V just a week or so ago, where they are exploring ways for students to create their own online learning environment, a virtual learning environment, a blank screen, a green field where they can go in and, not dissimilar to Minecraft, build their own online learning environment. I saw an example of how they had sent students out to Clonmacnoise, once a seat of learning across the whole of Europe, to photograph it, to digitally recreate it on that platform so that other students who might never set foot in Clonmacnoise can walk around it in a virtual world. We've seen the extraordinary work being done through the Galway Roscommon ETB, where technology empowers children living on windswept islands off the west coast of this country to access content that has never been available to them before. We have seen the Khan Academy and Mathletes, the world's first national online maths competition established here in Ireland through the support of Sean O'Sullivan and the Department of Education. And children empowered to learn maths in a new and exciting way. I have met teachers and children this week who are astounded by the opportunity that Khan Academy offers to them for the future. And it is the work of all of these people and other digital champions, their passion for the transformation of education through technology, that leads me to believe that Ireland can be one of the world's leading innovators in digital education. As you're aware, the Department of Education and Skills is embarking on the development of a new digital education strategy, and that strategy will be based on a sound research base, and all stakeholders, including students, will be heard in the development of that strategy. And Katrina spoke earlier on about the topic of assessment in e-portfolios, and I'm delighted to see these subjects featured heavily today. The Department is keen to explore the use of e-portfolios, particularly in the context of our new junior cycle. The use of e-portfolios in that revised junior cycle will have massive advantages beyond examinations and assessment themselves. And to that end, the Department, along with 13 other national and European organisations, is involved in an EU-funded project which will pilot the use of e-portfolios in teaching, learning and assessment. 26 post-primary schools in this country are participating in that pilot, which will provide the Department and other education stakeholders with a clear view of the benefits and indeed the challenges in implementing that e-portfolio solution. I believe it will be a major step in integrating ICT within the teaching, learning and assessment in our second level system. We've come a long way in integrating technology in our classrooms, but we must plan for the next stage so that technology is fully embedded in our teaching, in our learning and in our assessment. We must take account of changing needs, both in terms of new technology and also to take account of curricular reform. There is a learning revolution underway, and rather than following from the fringes, it's vital that we lead from the front. Jose Ferreira, who's the CEO of Newton, one of the world's largest educational technology companies, he remarked recently that innovation in education hasn't always worked this way. Generally in the past there may have been predictable one-off events happening in every now and again, but that isn't how the digital industry works. A technology wave can take years and years to develop, but when that wave crests, it changes everything in its path. I believe that that unstoppable wave is now about to crest across the world of education, and we are critically and well placed here in Ireland to be at the very lead edge of that wave. We need to design, we need to use new learning experiences, we need a mindset that is pretty ambitious, that encompasses creativity, innovation and a certain degree of risk-taking, and that's what we're going to require if we are to explore the real power offered by technology in education in the future. And there are significant challenges, but those challenges are accompanied by a bounty of wonderful opportunities. And I referred early on to that trailblazing work being done by our teachers, our digital champions across the school system. They are pioneering new methods, and you'll hear some of them later on, using technology in a classroom like it's never been used before. And Ireland needs to celebrate and to learn from their wisdom and from their experience. And that's why at this point in time, I'm working with a group of wonderful people to organise a conference on digital learning to be held in Dublin Castle on the 30th and 31st of May. And the primary aim of that conference will be to celebrate the work and the experience and the talent and the wisdom of our digital learning trailblazers from Ireland and indeed from abroad, to affirm and learn from their past achievements and to chart the way forward for digital education in the future. And the conference will have 6 objectives. It will affirm and celebrate that work. It will help to shape our vision for the future. In particular, the student voice will be heard loud and clear, and I'm delighted to see that we have Tig, Owen and Ben joining us here this morning, representing that student body across Ireland, who themselves are actually playing a part in driving that revolution. We will debate and discuss the future of digital education, and we will produce tangible proposals which can help to deliver our vision in conjunction with the department's digital strategy. The event is going to provide an opportunity for teachers and for young people to showcase their achievements in the area of digital learning and to acknowledge their innovative work. On the very first day, we will create a forum for young people to discuss and debate the things that inspire them to learn better, and we will provide them with an opportunity to feed back those conclusions on the second day of the event. Microsoft has been a pioneer in building strong collaborative partnerships with teachers and policymakers in education. These partnerships are exceptionally valuable, and we need to build even more of them in the future if we are to nurture a pool of talented digital innovators in line with Ireland's vision for education. And finally, we will showcase Ireland internationally as a global innovator and practitioner of digital learning and begin to build a body of research that can be accessed by everybody who's passionate about this subject. And I'm hoping that this event will not be the end of a journey, but instead the beginning of a new one, the start of a new movement for innovation and inspiration in digital learning. And for more information on that, there's only one landing page up at the moment, www.excited.ie. I want to thank Katrina and Kevin, who have been very supportive of this concept from day one and very enthusiastic about it, and I've learned a lot from their wisdom in this area as we begin planning for this event. 1,500 years ago, during the Dark Ages, Irish teachers shone a beacon of hope and learning from places like Clonmacnoise across Europe and the New World. We are now again at a time of unprecedented opportunity to move education onto that exciting new platform, onto the next revolutionary phase of its development on the crest of that wave. And I am convinced that Ireland, through your talent and your commitment, can lead the way again. Thank you.